You're listening to the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hi, I'm Lex,
And I'm Sam.
and we are the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hello, baddies.
What up, what up, what up?
So usually we record in the beginning of the week, but we are at the end of the week. So how was your week, Lex?
It was all right. I am in a new setup today. I got a desk. I'm no longer recording from my bed. And my cat is loving it.
Yes, Nibs is making many appearances, but it's very cute and the new setup is great. My week was good. I had some friends come over for dinner during the week and it was like really fun. And definitely think it breaks the week up to hang out with your besties during the week, a crazy work week.
Did you celebrate Cinco de Mayo at all?
I did not, which is sad. I
Oh,
took a meat out and then I was like, oh, I should get Mexican food, but then I didn't. Did you?
oh yeah. I went to a very good Mexican restaurant over here and got tacos and margaritas.
I'm jealous. Maybe I will this weekend to make up for it.
Yeah.
But also this week in Florida, it's been like super rainy and like super muggy. So I was sitting on the couch last night and it started like downpouring. And I was like, oof, we really needed that. So I'm wondering,
Oh no.
what are your old person qualities, Lex?
Oh, oh, oh. Give me a second to think about it. Do you have more to tell me while I think?
Well, I have a couple that I thought of. So like one, like I'm taking up embroidery as a hobby, and I feel like that's very old
Oh
lady
my God,
like.
that's so old ladylike.
And I really enjoy doing it.
I know one of mine. Justin makes fun of me all the time. Whenever I'm like cold and can't get over it, I always say, I got a chill in my bones.
Me, if it's like during the day, like on a weekday, and for whatever reason I'm not at work and I'm out somewhere and I see like young kids, I'm like, what are these youths doing out here? They should be in school.
Oh my gosh. Me too. Whenever I see like a group of teenagers loitering outside of Walgreens, I'm like, what are they up to?
Loitering. Loitering.
I also am the kind of person who like anytime my ring camera goes off, I'm like, who's on my porch?
You're a grumpy old person. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones that I do. Like I know when I stand up and like my back crack or like I crack, I'm like, oh, and I hold my back like an old person.
This reminds me of those progressive commercials where they're like, progressive can't stop you from becoming your parents.
That's us.
Oh, I am also, I love the dark. So I keep lights off at my house like all the time. And when Dustin leaves lights on in my house, I'm like, we don't own Tennessee Electric Company, which
That's
is
actually
something my parents used to say.
that's actually so funny because I'm the opposite. I like all of the lights on in the house, and Brandon will say, our electric bill's gonna be so high. And I'm like, oops. Oh well. I like the lights.
Sometimes I'll still say, I don't own Edison. And Edison was the power company in Michigan that our parents used to say. And then I'm
We
like,
don't
I
own
mean,
Edison.
Tennessee Electric.
That is old person. Any more?
Probably the fact that we both keep our house in the 70s is pretty old person.
We keep our
Keep our
houses
house at like
warm.
72 and 73.
We're cold
Pretty
girlies.
old.
That is very old. But like, I don't think this is old. Like waving to people when you're on a walk in the neighborhood.
I
Is
don't
that
walk to
old?
people. I'll put my head down. I don't know you. Don't talk to me.
Even your neighbors?
Sometimes, especially my neighbors.
Oh, I also know an old person thing is like when you're with your friends, and like this isn't all the time, but you talk about like 401ks and 403bs and retirement and savings. I think we're just getting old.
I think so too.
It's okay. We're thriving.
30, flirty, and thriving.
Snap. Also, maybe reading is old. The fact that we both love to
No,
read.
everybody should read. All ages should read.
Okay, fair. Baddies, think of more old people qualities and comment on the Insta. Tell us your old
Let us
people
know.
qualities.
Yeah.
Well,
Are you ready?
that's
Usually
all,
I
folks.
transition you into your case. Usually I do a nice transition for you.
Well, enough about old people. Let's get on to murder.
Okay, today's case was actually a listener suggestion. So thank you, Rick, for the suggestion.
Woo woo, Rick. Hello.
This is going to be a shorter case today, which may be a little refresher since Sam's last case was a two-parter. But unfortunately, Sam, this is an unsolved case.
I do hate the unsolved.
So today we are talking about the case of April Sorensen. So who is April Jean Sorensen? In 2007, April was 27 years old, living in Rochester, Minnesota. She was studying to be a dental hygienist at Rochester Community and Technical College. April lived with her husband, Joshua. April and Joshua met when they were like 18 and 19 years old, and they dated for 4 years before getting married. In 2003, they bought a house together. They loved gardening together,
Oh, I
and
love.
their neighbors said that they always were like very loving towards each other. Joshua worked at IBM. April was also very close with her family and she loved running.
Nice. They seem like very cool people.
So April worked at the UPS store. On April 17th, 2007, April was working a shift from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Oof.
Yeah, I was like, I would not want to work that shift.
That does not sound like a good shift, especially at UPS.
The UPS store was a 10-minute drive from her house. After her shift, she attended class at Rochester Community and Technical College from 10 o'clock to 10:50 a.m. She then drove the 15 minutes home, so she is thought to have arrived home between 11:05 and 11:10.
Also, she's a baddie for going to work that long shift and then going to class. Like, impressive.
Yeah. So around 12:30 p.m., a TV technician arrived at April's house. He saw smoke coming out of a window and called 911.
Oh,
The firefighters arrived and investigated the fire. They determined it was not accidental. They also found April's body inside.
oh my goodness. And this was what time
So
again?
remember, this is the TV technician got there at 12:30 p.m.
Oh my.
Probably the latest she got home was 11:10.
And to already be seeing smoke and stuff, that is a very quick
So it's a
situation.
short time frame. Like so short.
Yeah.
The investigators confirmed that April was murdered before the fire was set.
Ooh.
The report stated that there was blunt force and sharp force trauma. Police did not come forward about the possible weapon, but due to the sharp force trauma comment, everyone assumed it was probably a knife.
So right now we can assume that someone murdered her and then tried to set the fire to hide it.
Yes.
Awful.
What we do know is that the weapon was not found in the home. Because April was murdered before the fire started, it seemed as though the fire was set up to cover up her murder. This part's a little bit graphic, but the room was not set on fire. April herself was set on fire.
That is diabolical. Like I almost feel like that's like a rage killing. Like sharp force trauma and then set the person on fire. That is so. Ooh, I have like chills. I don't like this at all, and I'm hating that you already told us it's unsolved and it's this disgusting.
The fire did exactly what the offender wanted it to do. It ended up destroying a lot of evidence.
No.
Her estimated time of death is 11 a.m., which puts her coming home right after school and almost immediately being killed.
Yeah. Okay. To me, someone's waiting for her in the house.
The other strange thing is that there was no forced entry. There was an attached garage, so there's a possibility the perpetrator came in through the garage.
So they think it might have been somebody she knew or let in.
So the police don't say much about this case at all till this day. I feel like I always do the ones that are like, well, nobody knows nothing. Again, like Google searches, stop after a couple pages. There's just like not a whole lot of information about this case.
Which is good that we're like, it just needs to get the word out, but that's so unfortunate because sometimes I feel like minimal information hinders a case because if you don't think of something important or think of something like, oh, like it's not helpful.
Exactly. Investigators questioned Joshua right away. Joshua, though, had an ironclad alibi as he worked at IBM, and they have a very secure campus. Obviously, it's like computers and technology, and they have a lot of important stuff. So it's not like just a you could come and go as you please. There's like swipe in badges and other stuff. So it is confirmed that he was there all day. They were also able to rule out the TV technician because he was at all his other scheduled appointments for the day. So he couldn't have like come early and done it based on his schedule.
Yeah, and then if he called just by seeing smoke, well, I was gonna say I'm sure they could see that he like never got in the house, but if there's no forced entry, I guess never mind.
The investigators didn't have much to go on. And on top of the lack of evidence, violent crimes in Rochester were not super common. In fact, April's homicide was the first one of the year in that city.
Oh my
And this is
goodness.
in April.
Again, I feel like because it was
So,
so brutal, would be someone that would know her then.
yeah, so the police are not super accustomed, obviously, to dealing with homicide. The investigators finally got a lead. There was a house that was unoccupied across the street from April and Joshua's house. The neighbors reported suspicious activity at the house. But when the police went to investigate, there was absolutely no evidence found.
Which is interesting because if somebody was like squatting there or something, there would be DNA, there would be something, fingerprints. How's there no evidence found?
Another lead came when a man was arrested in St. Paul. He had a history of violent home invasions, but he was quickly ruled out.
Do you know why or no?
Nope. Again, there's like literally no information on anything.
Gosh.
The FBI got involved and they created a profile of the suspect. They believe the suspect is most likely a male and acted alone. They said he blends in well with the community. He most likely has a history of window peeping and or burglary. It is believed he would have changed his appearance or moved shortly after the murder.
Interesting. I wonder if they think too if he's like done this before of like he's changing his appearance and moving. That seems kind of like I've done this before type thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. The family raised money to offer a $100,000 reward to anyone with information.
Wow.
The reward was eventually increased to $300,000, yet no one came forward with any information.
Which is wild because how? How? You said 2007, right?
Yep.
So like people have cell phones, people have even like cameras outside their house at that point, not like ring cameras and things like that. But like how is there no nobody saw no, I don't understand that.
Over the years, the police reported that they have had one strong suspect who is serving time for another crime. They will not name the suspect or give any information besides that he would have been under 18 at the time, was talking to the police, but then cut off contact and moved away.
Under 18.
Okay, that seemed fishy to me.
Yeah, come on. That is like very brutal for someone. And yes, I know that there are psychopaths out there, but for under 18, you were in the house waiting, talking to the police, and then moved away. And now he's serving crime for something else in jail somewhere.
Yep.
I don't
Isn't that
feel,
fishy?
yeah, I don't feel like that's oop, that's probably it. Like, I don't feel like that at all.
The police have conducted hundreds of interviews, ran DNA tests, and the case has gotten some media coverage. However, there is still no resolution to this case.
What the heck?
18 years after the murder, the police finally released some more information about the cause of death. April was stabbed in the torso, strangled, and had her throat slashed.
Oh my gosh. That's like three different ways to kill somebody and burn. So four. So again, this was like
And they didn't
overkill,
release that information until 18 years after, like it was just a couple years ago that they released this.
which like, okay, I could understand maybe keeping one of those things under the belt, but like, why?
Especially when you have no leads, nothing.
Yes. You would think, and I don't know, I'm like, that's so overkill. You're stabbed in the torso, you're strangled. What was the other one you said?
Throat slashed.
Your throat is slashed after strangling, and then you burn the body. I think the person had to have known her and was angry with her because whoever did this, like, wanted to make sure she was dead. And it had to be someone crazy because, from what you said, she seems like a good person.
Well, let's get into some of those theories out there, Sam.
Oh boy.
I obviously want your thoughts on all of them, just like we always do. I, again, just like always, do not have one that I'm like, that's for sure it, but I do have one I lean towards.
Ooh, we'll see if it's the same one.
Okay. Theory one, someone followed April home from college. Did April have a stalker at the college? Was there another student or teacher that became obsessed with her? Was it mere coincidence that a stranger saw her and then followed her home to an empty house?
Okay, I could possibly get behind a stalker theory if like she turned him down and got angry or something along those lines. However, I definitely think this person was waiting for her in the home is what I think. Especially with the no force entry, like if he did follow her home, I feel like things would be kind of like ruckus. She would like push him away or try to run away, like, and if things didn't seem out of place, I don't love that unless he left early and was waiting for her in the home.
Number two, the killer was just passing through the neighborhood and targeted April that day.
Not with the overkill. I'm sorry. No, absolutely not.
So this is one that the police has put out there.
Popo, no, no. Come on.
We should make a t-shirt with that on it.
I'd wear it. Popo, no, no. Come on. And obviously, I don't know as much as the investigation that they do, but with the overkill, no, no, Popo.
Theory number three, someone got into the house and was lying in wait as soon as she got home, possibly hiding in a closet somewhere. Was it someone she knew? Could it have been a burglary gone wrong? Did they break into an empty house and when April surprised them by coming home, they panicked?
I do not think it's a burglary gone wrong. However, I have been saying I think this person was waiting, and I think that they knew her. So those ones I can get behind. I don't think it's a burglary because usually with burglaries, I feel like if that's the intention, it's like an accidental death and they get out of there. This person was doing what they could to make sure it was that.
Number four, was it a squatter staying in the abandoned house across the street that fled after the murder?
I guess I don't really hate that one, but why? Like, why? Unless she was like, get out or I'm calling the police. Like, why would they do that? Unless they were a psychopath, but I don't know. I don't love it.
So those are the theories out there. What are your thoughts? Do you have any other theories?
I was going to say, unless somebody hired somebody to do it. And I don't think her husband, based on like people were saying
Mm.
that she's lovely and blah, blah, blah. So, like, maybe she, you know, had a person who didn't like her very much. But it feels so personal. Like, I don't know. I think for sure the person knew her. And I think I would be surprised if they like followed her home and came in after she got home just because of how quick it happened. Unless, but I think this might be far fetched, she was killed at a different location and then brought to the house, had the keys, no force entry, and burned. But I don't know if I'd like that one.
I think, well, actually, I don't know because the police haven't reported much, but I feel like the police would have reported
That's true.
that it
They would know.
was thought that she was killed in another location. Because if your throat's slashed and you're stabbed, there's going to be blood, obviously.
That's true.
I personally think that it was either someone had followed her from the college and maybe she like opened the garage and they came in right behind her,
Oh,
or somebody was already in the home
I think
waiting for her.
yeah,
It happened so fast. I don't think it's like this chance encounter.
no,
I also don't think it's like a random person squatting across the house unless they were like watching for days and that's where they were watching. But I do think that it was somebody who either followed her home and like she gets out in the garage. Like your house, for example, you have an attached garage. You don't keep the house door locked, but the garage is locked. If you were to pull into your garage and before you could close that garage door, somebody came in, there'd be no forced entry.
No, I think that makes more sense to me too. I was thinking like front door and I forgot about the garage, but with the garage, that does make it easier access if someone was stalking and just slipped right in after her, which is awful.
Yeah. Or somebody was already there because she was said to have gotten home between 11:05 and 11:10, and her estimated time of death is 11 o'clock. So somebody, whether they followed her there or they were there when she got home, somebody was there at the same time she got home and killed her immediately.
And it was so quick because, like you said, it had to have been immediately. It wasn't like it was there was an argument or they talked or they, you know, like molested her or something. Like it seems like it was right away they went for killing, which makes me think again, they knew her or maybe a stalker that she turned down because she was happily married. And this crazy person was like, well, I want you and did it.
Mm-hmm. So I think really the police need to release more information about the case at this point. We are so many years past now that like there's just not a lot of information out there. And I think April deserves more.
Yes.
Anyone with information regarding April's homicide is asked to contact Detective Alex Kendrick at 507 328 2739. And that is the case of April Sorensen.
I hate that there's not a lot of information out there because I feel like that's going to be so challenging to solve. And like you said, none of the theories are like, oh yeah, but like definitely I lean more towards the one I've been saying,
Yeah, but it's
which
not like a, oh, that's for sure what
yeah,
happened.
yeah. And like good for Rick because he's getting these stories out there. He's the one that suggested this case. It just stinks that there's not more to talk about.
Yeah. And we appreciate, getting sent cases that aren't as big because, we're not super big yet as a podcast. We hope to be one day, but and with the platform we have, we'd like to, get some of these kind of cases out there as well as some of like the bigger ones that are more detailed and have more information.
Because truly, that's how they're going to get solved. If people are talking about it, then things, get remembered and things like that. So it is so important to talk about these, even though they are shorter ones.
Yeah. So we will be back next week. As always, thank you so much for listening. Please give us a follow wherever you are listening to this podcast, as well as on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. We're Bloodshed Baddies at all of those places. Also, please leave us a nice review and make sure you are downloading our episodes.
We love the case suggestions. So please send them or just a story or just to say hey to our email account, which is bloodshedbaddies@gmail.com. Our intro music is made by our awesome cousin Vinny. Tell a friend and tune in next week for a me episode.
I'm excited for your next episode.
Thank you.
Mostly because you told me I'm not allowed to look it up. So now I'm curious.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Until next time, baddies.
Love you.
Bye.